Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today's episode, again, another interesting episode about interviews. I've got an interview with more of my friends that from the past, and we would talk about older times, different things about anime, and of course, some of the history that has passed along the way. All right. Before I begin, I'd like to remind people to go down below and click like and click subscribe. Even if you want to leave a comment below about this particular video and some opinions that you have, by all means, that does help the algorithm for YouTube. If you're interested in supporting me financially, I have the links for the super thanks as well as the PayPal and Patreon links below, where you can subscribe and get the special content that I cannot post here on YouTube. Again, there's a list with the link below of all the various different episodes I have for the History of Fan Anime, as well as the extra episodes that are available to the subscribers. And then it covers a lot of the content that, again, just YouTube just won't allow me to talk about. So, all the extra content is there, all right? So, in today's episode, we're going to have an interview with my friend Troy. Now, Troy, lives, quite a ways out from Vancouver, still within what they call the Greater Vancouver Regional District. But it's a fair ways away, a good 45 minutes to an hour out of town by car. We get together once in a while and basically go over different things. In today's interview, we can go talk more about that. Okay, so without further delay, let's begin.
So the story is, Arthur's got this little car, and nobody basically had a ride home.
Okay.
So the rest of them like 8 people.
All right.
But his little car jam-packed everybody, even in the trunk. And he got stopped by the officers, and the officers told him, "You get these people home." So, those kind of little stories. Now, I think everybody has that type of little story in their, in their circle.
I remember when we used to do the Iwase runs, and we had the exact same problem. You could get all these people, they meet up at the store on Friday night, right? And then as soon as we close the store at 6 o'clock, we'd all pile into cars, and then we'd drive down to Richmond and go to Iwase or something. And then sometimes we wouldn't have enough seats. And I know at least once or twice we were sort of like, well, we'll do paper, scissors, rock, and whoever loses gets the trunk. As I mentioned in the interview, we used to do these things called the Iwase run. So basically, everyone would meet at the store. We'd close the store on Friday at 6 o'clock. So as soon as that happened, we'd all jump into the car and then we'd drive down to Richmond. And then we would go and do what we call the Iwase run. The Iwase was a Taiwanese-owned mall, which had a grocery store at the bottom, and then upstairs it had an Iwase bookstore, which is kind of a Japanese chain bookstore, and that's where we got a lot of anime magazines, books, art books, and that kind of stuff. Japanese textbooks and that kind of stuff as well. But and it also had a Japanese videotape rental section, so you could rent, variety shows, you could rent the news, you could rent, anime, movies, music videos, and that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff you could rent from them, and it was nice because it was like $2 a tape for like an entire week, right? And they had all multiple copies of the newest stuff that was coming out of Japan, so it was really great. And yeah, there's some times where we had so many people in the store that we just didn't have enough cars to take everyone down there. And I know for sure twice, I think we had to flip a coin and say, okay, you get the trunk, right? And I think one time I remember, I think Kevin was the victim of one time, and I think the other time was Vince, I think, might have been the other one that got the trunk. But that's sort of what sometimes it happens. It's not a long ride, but it's still a kind of an uncomfortable ride.
The original night market. You guys did not get to experience that. Always remember the Sentai hero. I'm trying to remember which character it was. I think it was Ultraman, but he was flying on a post.
Yes, there's a really huge Ultraman. Yes, at the entrance of the Richmond Night Market. That's right. Yeah, that was a great place to get stuff too. I remember I got like a whole bunch of like anime jigsaw puzzles and cool stuff like that.
Totoro.
Yeah.
I found just recently. Eddie found me the wedding carriage. I had the baby carriage. I found the baby carriage.
Oh, okay, yeah.
At that night market.
Oh, that's good. That's cool. So usually during the summer, during the nighttime weekend sort of thing, they used to have what they call the Richmond Night Market. It's in a big, huge sort of empty lot that's really close to the Richmond Casino and really close to the SkyTrain stations that are there. So it's easy to get to by transit, and it's usually a big lot that's not used by anything, during the summer. So they used to have this big, huge market there, and they have open stalls and that kind of stuff that people could buy space in for like the entire length of the summer to sell stuff. And you get people that sell, all the flea market-y type things, like, cell phone chargers and cases and that kind of stuff. And some people would be selling all these, wellness stuff, and, a lot of people would set up like food booths. It was really good because like you get like all the entire variety of different Asian and almost fair type of food truck food in there as well. Whether it's rototub potatoes, all the various different types of Japanese sushi, okonomiyaki, octopus balls and squid balls and that kind of stuff. You have the Vietnamese people doing a pho and sandwiches and that stuff, and you've got the Koreans doing chicken and spicy stuff or whatever and whatnot, and even like things like curries and that stuff, and you got Thai food that's like really, really hot and that stuff. So you get the whole big mix all in there, and it was great because as I said, a lot of people just can go there, they can grab something to eat, try a whole bunch of different types of foods, and then you go through the to the vendor area there, and it's all full of stuff, hawking clothes. A lot of electronic stuff. I remember sometimes they have like guys who sell like knives and weapons and that kind of stuff. It's kind of mostly cosplay stuff. Usually, none of it was really functional, but they sell some of that stuff. You got people selling, services and you even got like TV and phone services and that stuff, all sorts of stuff. But on the odd occasion, I remember. They got guys selling like bootleg PlayStation games, that kind of stuff, and just like modded like modding services, so you can mod your PlayStation or Xbox and that kind of stuff. And so you get some really questionable stuff going on there. I think things for like jailbreaking iPhones and that kind of stuff was another thing that I remember. Was one of these type of services and that kind of stuff you could get at this thing. Okay. So how is Eddie doing? I haven't talked to Fast Eddie for eons upon eons.
And he's going through. He just posted lately. He's having some financial difficulties. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, whatever.
He's still doing his hobby. Still doing 3D printing.
Oh yeah.
Loving anime. He doesn't want to grow up like us. We don't want to grow up, but we're.
No, that's fine. I mean, you can always open up a store and that kind of stuff, and you obviously have put in a lot to it, right? So and invested a lot of your time and money and that kind of stuff. So it's fine. But guys are like that. I've always mentioned that sometimes in the industry you have to know people, right? You gotta have your connections you're in, and so this guy obviously his real name's Eddie. But everyone knows him as Fast Eddie, because if you needed something, you need a deal, you need your connection you need something, he'd be your guy to go get it, type of thing, right? So I remember he was working in the little video game shop in the middle of Parker Place. And it's a small little shop. It's just a small little sort of counter sort of store with and do lots of video games and a lot of import games, that kind of stuff. but I knew that one of the he was one of the first and key people that you had to go to get um um you know bootlegged PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games, right? You had to go in there and said, yeah, I want copy of Langrisser one for the PlayStation 2. And he goes, yeah, okay, yeah, come back and whatever. And of course, they'd go back and go into their, secret archives or whatever, and then they'd bring it, and then all of a sudden you'd come back and it's like, hey, Ed, hey Eddie, you got you got my game ready? He goes, yeah, here you go. And so he'd hand you like this disc, and then it's that it'd be like totally unmarked, no labels, no nothing, no printouts of the cover or anything like that. It's just, here you go, here's here's the disc, and you take it home, and he's like, yeah. Good job, Ed. Thanks. And you get all this cool, and that's how we got a lot of our games and that kind of stuff. And later on, I guess you'd say, they had more and more of these type of kind of stores, and they all kind of operated underneath, right? And this is at a time where, the technology was changing really quickly. We were adapting really quickly. I know, there's all this talk about, was the police ever going to, crack down on it? But, they knew that as soon as a white guy walks into Richmond Center, that immediately it is, what the heck is this guy doing here? It's like, because it's that kind of a mall, right? It's that kind of a place. It's like, this is a totally Chinese mall. It's got to the point where, a lot of places don't follow the regulation that, your sign for your store, is required to be, it can be written in Chinese or whatever, but you still got to write at least some English in it. There's some stores that totally ignore this, or they write it in English, but they build it into the font so much that it's virtually unreadable, right? Like from a distance, you can't read what the English name is because it's in such a small font. It's in a weird color. Or something like that, or whatever, so that just people just don't care, right? Or just it's written so small as a subtitle or something. It's there, so legally it's right, but as soon as you get, so basically they know that as soon as you get a guy who, even if they're trying to be quote undercover, they say it like a sore thumb. So basically, yeah. So as long as you go in there, you're Asian, you can speak the Chinese and that kind of stuff, then you'll have absolutely no problems. So this was that kind of thing in this kind of era that we had to deal with in the very early stages when this technology was just starting to break through.
Yeah. I'm going to estimate now what I've seen on people's personal collections that I've been in homes with. In just our let's say, Fraser Valley, Vancouver, Richmond area, more than 25 personal collectors. It's got to be at least 30 with different, like sci-fi, anime.
Oh yeah, 100
model kits.
Yeah, if you count like sweet people like Stan, because he must have an awesome collection of Godzilla stuff.
I think that basement is just amazing. People, their Transformer collections, their G.I. Joe collections. I'm sure there's people collecting He-Man still. Like, this is old school.
Have you seen the news article, Dilber?
No.
He's got he's got scale, larger scale models of Transformers, Star Wars guys, a lot of Marvel guys, 1-to-1 scale, to the point that he actually went out to the one of the museums in the Surrey Place Museum or whatever, and he actually has an exhibit.
Oh wow!
His stuff. He's got literally an Optimus Prime that stands a little bit taller than a person. It's like a 7-foot Optimus Prime. And he's got I think he's got a 1-to-1 Wolverine. He's got a 1-to-1 Yoda.
And how SkyTrain expansion gave Gen Xers the chance to explore Metro Vancouver, opening up new experiences in different communities.
I had never been to downtown or Chinatown or Metrotown area ever, so it just it was very exciting, to open all these different doors.
That exploring continues to this day. What started out as a love for characters like Spider-Man and Batman inspired Mann to move into a creative career. 16 years in the video game industry has taken him all over the world.
So this is the battle diorama that represents X-Men #1.
He hopes the Inspiration X exhibit is a hit with visitors.
That's Batman.
This is only half of his collection. He's already looking at expanding, but that's not an option here right now.
No space. I can't take over the museum, so we'll have to figure that out.
So as you can see, many of us, became very avid collectors of various different things, about anime. Obviously, I collected a lot of musical CDs, obviously lots of laser discs. Open up a store so I had lots and lots of video cassettes and DVDs and that kind of stuff. But obviously, other people collected, specific things, pertaining to, let's say, Sailor Moon, for example. Here at Dilber, a friend of mine, he started collecting a lot of, hero stuff and whatnot from his influences. And the interesting thing is I included a bit of the interview that was on the Global TV, because he also, just like Troy, mentions that just using the public transit, he was able to to commute from a suburb of the greater Vancouver district here in Surrey, to come all the way into town and actually go to places like Chinatown, and to come to my store and that kind of stuff, to basically hang out, to buy things, to talk to people, and basically build that community that we talk about.
I've been fortunate through anime and Anime Johnny and so forth. Everyone knows I'm a big Sailor Moon fan. But I have become friends with some of these folks. I respect them. And, they come in once in a while, or, at Christmas, Merry Christmas. But this just because they're known for whatever. But you build friendships in this community. Even in the industry, where somebody's doing animation, their job is animation.
Yeah.
And this is what I personally stress. If it wasn't for Will, yourself, Chad Knopf, I forget Dan's name.
Dan, yeah. Had to go.
And others, like Ryan, my friend, the Valley Group, 2009 a big convention. I had a mental breakdown. Even that convention, a lot of things weren't going well for me, mentally and financially, and on the AKA romance side, but that's existence.
Well, I think it was a tough time for a lot of us back in 2018, 2009, right?
But the community was there, and I remember Jeffrey Tigeri specifically. He got left the bag at con for a bit. But he let me sleep in the back corner in one of the staff rooms so I can get sleep. I don't have a medication, I've got it at home. He let me sleep for about an hour, and I had a good solid sleep, but I could hear everybody mumbling and grumbling. But my point is, there are people who care in our community, and if you can find those people, they're very rare. And then at times we're going to have our ups and downs, but when they're there for you, you not just belong, but you're contributing, and they're contributing to you and you to them.
Yes.
And that's a huge thing, I think. And I think we because of the pandemic and other things, and I'm going to say even prior to the pandemic, let's say getting into 2015 and onward, everything shifted. Life shifted, everything shifted for a lot of people. But I think but you hold on to those anchors. We don't see each other, like me and Will hardly see each other like once in a very blue moon in that proverbial aspect.
Yeah, we definitely should see each other more often. That's what I think I missed that, but it's just one of the things that we do.
Yeah.
Okay, so Troy mentions that the again, our community. And I have to say that's one of the most sort of invaluable things that even to this date, I can say that it's probably one of the best and strongest lasting legacies of our entire anime experience that we had here. Is that is it really about those all those people that you met, and people that that you are very still close to. I know that our group is still very much connected, and we still participate in many things in life that we all go through, and you know definitely. If we ever had to do it again, I would not change that one part for sure. And I think that's also one of these things that, in the modern day, uh, we just don't have it the same way. I mean, it's just the experience is just totally different. Um, when you're not face to face, when you're not, with somebody in the same room, in the same same environment, like we did in the past. It's just a worlds of difference. Okay, so I hope you found that really interesting, and I always find it really interesting, to go and talk to some of the old people, because they always bring up stories that I sort of sometimes forget, or I don't quite have the exact wording sometimes, because I don't want to say something in regards to in about someone's story, when they can say it properly themselves, because I might get some details wrong or whatever. So it's always better that you get the information straight from them, as well as it's they always have some different perspective that maybe I just kind of forgot about, because so much time has passed. Sometimes I tend to forget them. So it's always good to have good conversation about that. Again, I will be doing more of them, so stay tuned for that. All right. So until next time, I will see you again.